Hello, welcome. We are back, and it's not SW6 Essential. It is the Jack and Joe Show. I'm absolutely delighted. Joe Sansom, how are you?
Very well, yeah. Fresh starts in more ways than one. Very excited for the England game as well, but that's another matter. And also very excited for the Jack and Joe show premiere episode.
This is it. This is it. Hopefully, it goes well. It's going to be a shorter video today. We'll explain a bit later as to why. This is the Jack and Joe Show, and today we're of course talking about Scott Parker, who has left Fulham for Bournemouth, the worst kept secret since Newcastle at home. And Joe, it's been a whirlwind of a summer. It's been stressful, frantic, frustrating, and of course we've only just started pre-season. Let's talk Fulham and Scott Parker leaving for Bournemouth. I explained to the group chat last night. It was like seeing your. Actually, I explained to my girlfriend last night. It was like seeing my ex-girlfriend with a new man, and that was Bournemouth announcing Scott Parker. Scott Parker at the Vitality Stadium. For me, it looked very strange, but I'm sure we'll get used to it. Joe, how do you feel? We're now managerless.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, for me, it's no way near many other managerial departures in terms of any sentiment. This whole saga's left a very sour taste in my mouth. I never thought Scott Parker was a club legend, but I certainly didn't have any bad feelings towards him. This has given me quite a bit of bad feeling towards him. I completely understand why he has left. And obviously, the first thing we should say is it's never a good sign when your manager wants to jump ship to a rival in what is a very sideways move. He's going from a team that is looking to get straight back up to a team that is looking to get back up. If anything, Fulham probably have more resources just purely due to current squad and possible investment. So you've got to look upstairs and the issues that have forced him out here. But the way it's been handled, I don't like. I don't like the way that Scott Parker was telling us that he was all for staying on, all for helping us get back up. And then, if anything, he's wasted a month of our time mucking around with Bournemouth, trying to get the best deal for himself, which, of course, I do understand. But at the same time, I think have a bit of class about it. And after all that, we're basically where we should have been the day after the Newcastle game, where we now have to find a new manager. We know the squad. We know that there was probably going to have to be a change because we've got to re-implement the squad. That wasn't going to work with Parker. There's quite a few things I'm not going to miss. The only thing I will miss is the fact that Parker seemed to understand the issues that were going on upstairs and actually seemed to want to combat them. And I hope that Scott Parker leaving doesn't give any more influence to Tony Khan. I hope, if anything, it takes it away. But overall, I'm not disappointed he's gone. I'm excited for a new start. But I do think it points to a lot of issues going on upstairs in the board that a manager has literally jumped ship to a club in a similar position to us.
Completely. And that for me is very worrying. And hopefully, whenever the new manager comes in, he is able to, or she is able to rein in the likes of Tony Khan. And you never know what's going to happen. There's been whispers online that Tony Khan is going to step away from the role. He'll still be the director of football, but he won't be in charge, which of course would be ideal. But Joe, the point I want to make is last season we fell in love with Scott Parker. And we got some great results at Everton, at Liverpool, but we only scored 9 goals at home. And upon reflection, when you take that into consideration in the season we had, it wasn't good enough. And actually, going into a season where we need to bounce straight back up to the Premier League, I'm glad that Scott Parker's football is not going to be at Craven Cottage, because I want exciting football. I want to razzle dazzle the Championship, and I want a promotion. I want a top 2 push. And I think a new manager coming in with the assets we have in our squad, regardless of who goes at the moment, you never know. I think we're going to be in for a treat, and I hope we see some exciting attacking football and not this languid, turgid, afraid to attack sort of football and more defensively minded. Okay, it was good in the Premier League because we needed those defensive stability for results, but now we're in a league where we're going to be expected to win every game. Not every game, but most games. And of course, the fixtures have come out as well. I'm sure we'll touch on that at a later stage, because now this is all about Parker. I want to ask you about Parker and Bournemouth, because Bournemouth will probably be one of the favourites. They missed out in the playoffs to Brentford, who of course are promoted. And the last time we spoke, it was the lead up to the playoff final.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been a long time. I did say that we're going to be here next week with a new video, but of course things change, and of course people tell you to just to hold off for a second. Of course, we understand that. Scott Parker, how do you think he'll fare at a Bournemouth team who are looking like they're going to lose Dan Juma, their main star, but they've got the likes of Dominic Solanke, Philip Billing. I think David Brooks is leaving. I'm not sure if he's on loan somewhere. I can't remember. Maybe it was Sheffield United or something. But how do you feel that Bournemouth will fare? And of course, we play them twice next season. We play Sheffield United, Slavisa Kanovic twice next season. It's all very exciting. And of course, they play them the last day as well, Sheffield United away at Bramall Lane. But Scott Parker and Bournemouth, how do you think they'll fare? Do you think they'll beat us to the title?
No, I don't. I think that we've got a better squad, and hopefully in about a week's time we've got a better manager. I think that they've got a good squad, and I think it's a squad that is definitely capable of getting top six again, even when losing the likes of Dan Juma and possibly Brooks, as you say. It's a weird one, because Djukanovic and Parker both coming back to Fulham. I think I know which one's going to get the better reception, and it's not Parker. And I also feel like Sheffield United are by far the team that scares me more currently at this moment. We've got a whole window ahead of us. We don't know what will change. Parker could play a blinder. Let's face it, he implemented some good signings at Fulham. We got in some very good players. He was apparently heavily involved in the Tosin deal, which is obviously one of the key cogs for this season, is us hanging on to him, because he'll be brilliant in the Championship, as he was for most of the season in the Premier League. But I think that Parker will do a steady job. I think it'll be sort of standard football we saw under him, where it's caution to the wind, but quite effective football at times. They'll win more games than they lose because they're a better team, but I'm not sure if that will be down to his tactics. I would be interested to see what he does at a club where possibly he has more control. Because it's fair to say that at Fulham, I don't think he has that full control that he wants. And that's one of the reasons that he's left. But yeah, I'm still very optimistic for our chances this season. I would hope that we would finish above Bournemouth. And I think that if we do finish above Bournemouth, that leaves us minimum in the playoffs.
It's going to be very interesting. I have to say that the 24 teams in the Championship, it looks weak on paper. And in fact, it did look weak last season as well, when Watford and Norwich basically blitzed everyone away and ran away with the top two places. And you'd have to say that I've looked at the table and I've looked at the fixtures, and I would expect us to be in and around the playoffs pretty much all season. Now, I know it's touch wood and it's statements that precede unfortunate events, but I really think that we have the players, we have hopefully we have the manager. So let's get on to the new manager, and we'll touch more on Parker at the end. And who do you want? Steve Cooper, Bilic, Bilic, Chris Wilder.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a couple more names as well, but
yeah,
who's ideal for you?
I think what we've got to look at now is the fact that what Parker said was very true, and that we need to get off this roller coaster. When we're up one season, we're down the next. It's unsustainable. We touched on this in the last video a few weeks ago. We can't be this yo-yo club that inevitably we are becoming. Sadly, at this stage in time right now, we're a yo-yo club, and I don't want that to happen. I think it's an embarrassing title. So I think we need someone that has been in the Premier League before, someone that has kept a team up. And if anything, I would almost value that over promotion experience, because I think with this team currently, I really don't want to sound dramatic, but I think anyone with half a brain gets this team playoffs at this moment in time, unless there's like some sort of overhaul. I honestly do. You cannot tell me that this squad isn't good enough to finish minimum sixth with Stuart Gray in charge. Like, honestly, I mean, I'm sure he would do fine. So I want someone that's had experience in the Premier League. So with that, I instantly look at Wilder, Bilic, Howe, people like that. I mean, if we're going a bit more optimistic, let's get Nuno in. You know what I mean? Let's just throw the checkbook at him.
We've
It's
been
not
banging
going
the
to.
Nuno drum
We've
for a
been banging the
while.
Nuno drum. The Portuguese Revolution, Cav just turning into just prime Cav from his Wolves days. But realistically, out of the names I mentioned, it would definitely be a case for either. It's tough, but I would probably say a case for Wilder or Bilic, purely because Eddie Howe seemed to be wanting more control with a Celtic job. He wanted to bring in his own director of football. Bilic, I think, was unfairly treated at West Brom. He did the job with West Brom, getting them back up, and then I think he was sacked too early. Sam Allardyce, I actually don't think did a bad job to replace him, but that's not the point. I also think that Wilder obviously had a shocking season last season, but you can't look past his experience of the fact that he's got Sheffield United up, he got Northampton up, I believe he got Oxford up as well a few years ago. That might be completely wrong, but he definitely was Oxford manager, and I think he did a good job with them. I've got so many managers going through my brain right now, but what I don't want is I don't want us to go for the safe option. And by that, and with no disrespect to him, I mean Javi Pereira, because I don't want that, because, you know, Pereira could come in and do a fantastic job. He was Slavisa's assistant. We need to be looking forward now, and we need to appoint a manager that is not a short-term option. You know, Parker was our manager for 2.5 years, I think. It's a long time for modern football standards. Before that, obviously, just ignore Ranieri. We had Jukanovic for about 3 or 4 years. I hope we're looking at another long-term appointment, because this promotion might not happen first time. It might not happen at all. We need someone that can bring through our youngsters, which Wilder, can he do that? I mean, we saw some youngsters get through for Sheffield United, and he was always conscious to buy some, for example, Brewster, for example, Bogle, and then Bilic. It's a really tough one, but I think this appointment is so important now, because obviously financially we need to bounce back up first time of asking, but there's no point getting back up if we're in the same position where we've got someone that's got no experience of keeping a team there and is likely to fail.
For a third time. Slavisa went up with no Premier League experience because he was a Watford manager when Watford went up. Parker had a few games in the Premier League, took us up, but of course he did okay. I mean, no, he didn't. He didn't. I mean, he didn't do okay.
He did below average, because we won a few games, but we'd have still, if we'd played like that,
a more competent team.
Yeah.
Changes into a more competent team, but when we lost to Villa, we crumbled.
Yeah.
Or when we beat Liverpool, we crumbled. I mean, it was just, and so we need someone who's going to do a steady job, someone who knows what they're doing. And my worry is a Premier League relegation hangover, where we start the season slowly, we lose to Middlesbrough or draw, and suddenly we're playing catch up, and where we go to next? Second game, Huddersfield, who of course will be wanting a big season. I'm tipping them Huddersfield to go down, but that's something we're going to get into right at the start of the season. I will say that when the manager comes in, which I'm guessing is going to be by the end of the week, we will be live. We will be live on YouTube with a live stream to get everyone's reactions, everyone asking questions and interacting, because that's all fun. So we can't wait for that. We're basically just waiting for the news to drop, and we'll be live. Hopefully, it's not going to get in the way of any quarter-final business in the European Championships, but we shall see. It's an exciting time to be a Fulham fan, I suppose. I mean, a lot of fans are very upset with how this has been handled, and I'm sure things are going to take time to iron themselves out. We have new players that will come in. We have new kits. We'll have a new stand. We'll have a new manager. This is all very brand new, and I just want everyone to keep a positive mindset. I mean, you saw the pictures in training yesterday. The players back in training: Kenny Tete, Tosin, Mawson, Lamarchon. Tom Kearney, Harrison Reed, Josh Onoma. I mean, we've got some very, very talented players. And of course, in the Championship last season or the season before, we just about got over the line. But now I want to see this team absolutely go full pelt. I mean, I look at us and I kind of think of Norwich City. Norwich went down with a whimper when they got relegated, but they bounced straight back up with no issues. And I really want that to happen. You think of 14-15, we went down and we almost got relegated, and then relegated, and then almost relegated again the next season.
Yeah.
Savisa stayed up, and then he brought in this wonderful style of play, got playoffs, lost, went up, went down, went up again, went down again. So it's been a dramatic few years at Fulham. We just need someone no nonsense to really try and fire us back to the Premier League and keep us there. Because I feel like with the stature of the club, the way the stand's getting built, we don't deserve, but we would like to be in that position again. And we really thought last season we were there, but it didn't work out. But look, we've got 46 very exciting games to come up. The Championship is always a very, very fun league. You will win games, you will have a good time, but it will be frustrating if things don't go to plan. Let me just end. Let's spend the last 5 minutes or so talking about Scott Parker again. What will you miss about him, and what won't you miss about him? I know you kind of touched on it at the beginning, but let's set the record straight.
So what will I miss? So I will miss some of his press conference quotes in that he loves his cliches. He loves "we live in a world where." That's one of my favourites. I quite like it. This is just a personal thing. I think it's quite funny. I will also miss some of his honesty in terms of, I know it's very limited to what he can say, but in terms of Tony Khan, the issues there, in terms of transfer negotiations, and the fact that if he's not happy, he'll say he's not happy, which I actually do appreciate. I don't want someone that's going to be like, oh, we've got an unbelievable squad when you're not happy with the squad, for example. I like that. I also like that he seemed to have a good relationship with, and I'll say some because of reports that came out yesterday, some of the squad, and seemed to be a heavy reason for some players joining. I'll miss that the fact that he changed the mentality of the club when he came in. And that's something I will always give him credit for, because the club was a mess when he took over, losing mentality. And I think sometimes, me included, everyone overstates the job that he did getting us up. I think he should have done better, but he did do the job that he needed to do. He got the winning mentality back. He improved our mentality as a team. Motspur Park looked happier from pictures and reports. But this is the problem. Then I move on to things I won't miss, and it's all on the footballing side, which is not a good sign, because, if I wanted someone that I get along with and find quite funny, I'd just say about you. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say about a football manager. So, like the playoff final and Liverpool away and Everton away, games like that, brilliant. But the rest of it was utter crap. Let's face it. I mean, It was boring football, and we thought we were going to get over the line last season, so we almost put up with it, because until about April, we thought we might just survive here, get through this season, and we're golden. It didn't work out like that. So I won't miss just a lack of goal threat. I won't miss Cav up front. I won't miss 5 at the back and 3 midfielders in must-win games, including Lamina and Reed. Although I'd love Lamina back, by the way, but that's a separate point altogether. I think that's the main things. I am excited for a new style of play, because that style of play was not for me. I don't want possession football if it's all being played in our half and around the opposition's box. I want to see goals. I want to see excitement, and I'm hoping that a new manager brings that. I will always respect the fact that Scott Parker improved the defence. But I'm very excited to see what a new manager can do, because I've lost some respect for Parker with the way this has been handled. Seems like we've been haggling for about a month over apparently 250k. And I know that's a lot of money. I would certainly take that money for a football club. That is just pennies. So lost a bit of respect, and I hope we hammer them home and away, in all honesty.
I know you've got a meeting in a few minutes, so we'll wrap up now. And I've also got to get ready for probably the biggest day of my life, going to England v Germany. It really doesn't... I can't believe how big this game is. And of course, I'm sure we'll talk about it at a later stage. It could be tears tonight. But yes, culture versus football. I will miss the culture he changed at the Fulham, the mentality, the way in which he interacted with the media. He came across as a great guy. And he did until the end of the season, basically. But I will not miss the football. Even Newcastle at home, we were already relegated, and yet we seemed too afraid to attack. And for me, that's just not good enough. And it worked defensively it worked at times and we got some decent results, but ultimately in the big games like the Wolves at home where we had to win, we didn't go for it enough, and it cost us, and it cost us points, and it cost us relegation. But we're back in the Championship. I love it. I'm sure everyone else does. Some people don't, but it's where we're at, and we're going to have to deal with it for the next year. Hopefully, just for a year, and we're back in the big time. You never know what's going to happen. This has been the first episode of the Jack and Joe Show. I'm delighted to say that because it's really exciting to have your own names in your show, and we will see you hopefully for a live stream later on this week where everyone can ask some questions and we'll get a big old conversation going. Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks, Jack.
How very exciting. And this season, I promise I'm not going to do long-winded goodbyes. I'm going to try and get it all done. Actually, we don't even have an outro, do we, this time round? So we'll just say goodbye. Come on, England against Germany. And hopefully the next time we speak, we've got a new manager. Thanks very much for watching, and come on, Fulham.